the internet.
Your Honor?
You claim that this game is awful and should rot in hell for all of eternity.
Indeed, Your Honor. Every big media gaming company gave this video game a bad rating, and we agree.
Defendant!
Your Honor,
Are these allegations true?
I believe to be false.
Your Honor, the defendant has no case.
No case?
Objection! Defend it!
Episode 3, Resident Evil 5. Today's case pits Capcom's Resident Evil 5 against the internet on the count that it's not really doing anything for the franchise. Each of you will have 3 points of evidence and a witness to prove your case. Mr. Internet, you will go first because that's it's usually what we do. Go get him, Tiger.
You roll now. Ladies and gents, we all sat patiently for nearly 6 years after the release of Resident Evil 4, eagerly waiting for the next installment, and when it finally showed up, despite Capcom clearly having spent a lot of time and money developing the game, there were too many flaws for us not to grab our internet pitchforks and just murder a nearby kitten.
Objection! Resident Evil 5 actually got very positive reviews and is literally the best-selling Resident Evil game in the franchise.
Order! Order in my courtroom! Why do we always do this when I am so hungry? Ah! There's gotta be a bag of Gardennos in here somewhere, I swear to God.
We all know that when it comes to atmosphere, Resident Evil has always been on its A game. The originals were plenty scary, and with Resident Evil 4, skeptics were wary of the new direction the series was taking. But when the game finally showed up, people were floored by it, and it redefined the horror genre, maintaining that classic horror feel while cleverly adapting modern action gameplay mechanics. However, with Resident Evil 5, the game almost totally left the horror genre behind, making it feel more like a bizarre, gory version of Indiana Jones than a proper entry in the series. Now, how did this happen? Simple. Capcom got rid of the atmosphere. In RE 1 through 4, we've had scary places such as mansions, deserted cities, and creepy villages. Not to mention, it always took place at night. Yes, you can argue that RE4 does start out during the day, but that quickly changes and gives the player the feeling of a slow descent into darkness. With Resident Evil 5, for the first 3 or 4 chapters, the story is set on a clear, hot, sunny day in Africa. Everything is completely visible, and that sense of scary danger has completely vanished. It has more of a military-based first-person shooter flavor in these first few chapters, ruining the horror atmosphere that the series was known for. While we can all probably agree that Resident Evil 4 was a masterpiece, a common criticism of the game when it came out was that the portions involving Ashley Graham, the president's daughter, were not nearly as polished or as solid as the rest of the game. You would expect that for the next game in such a popular series, the developers would try to at least clean this up, if not remove it from the game entirely. Instead, they based the whole game around it, forcing you to take Sheva with you wherever you go. Admittedly, the trend in AAA gaming of late has been to add in some sort of online co-op or multiplayer component, and Sheva works great for this. But when playing the single-player campaign, having your online buddy replaced with a frustratingly dim-witted AI in a game that's clearly designed for 2 players can be an extremely annoying problem. It was a huge risk to force co-op play in such a huge franchise, and unfortunately, it just doesn't pay off. Maybe if Capcom had given a little more attention to their single-player audience back then, Resident Evil 6 wouldn't have been such a stinker when it came out a few months ago either. To help prove my point, I want to call Schroeder and Davis from the Warp Zone to the Blue Elephant stand.
What? The Warp Zone?
Awesome, both of you. Now, let's get down to business. To defeat the Huns. So, tell me, Davis and Schroeder, DZ and Sheezy, Schroeder and Davis, Dizzles and Shizzles, tell me, why is co-op gaming killing the modern single-player game?
Well, when it comes to Resident Evil 5, co-op is what really killed the beast. I mean, if they hadn't relied on the gimmick so much, it could have been an awesome game. Look at Resident Evil 4. It was brilliant, and at no point did you feel the need to play with somebody else.
Yeah, in fact, just look at all the Resident Evil games. I mean, they're all fantastic romps through scary deathlands, just all by yourself. You don't need no dumb sidekick to come with you.
Well said, my pawns! No further questions.
A swell job, Mr. Internets. I'm not wearing any pants at all. Gerard, it's your chance to cross-examine the witness.
Right. Davis, Schroeder. Thank you, Your Honor. Boys, the zones of warps, the warps of zones. Oh, how you two have betrayed me! But that's okay. That's okay, because I'm never going to be calling you guys ever again. But since you're here on behalf of the internet, could you just go ahead and answer this one question for me? Wouldn't you say that the internet is the sole reason as to why online co-op has become such a big thing?
Well, yeah, I guess that's true. I mean, I remember back in the day, I used to sit on my couch and play Final Fantasy all the time. I mean, like for hours, I'd play with myself. But ever since the internet came, I'm forced to play online on games I didn't even want to play with people.
Yeah.
It's all that guy's fault.
Yes, okay, but we do make a lot of money on the internet, so...
That is true. I mean, you see this? Dead Space 3 pays for that. Oh yeah.
You know, I heard it's better with Connect.
Oh. It sure is.
I heard it's better with Connect too.
Moment's over.
No further questions, Your Honor. It's mine.
What's happening?
Dead Space 3, better with Connect. Huh? Ooh.
Well played, Gerard, well played. Mr. Internets, this is your final point. So make it count. Chocula. Delicious.
The reason that Resident Evil 4 was so successful was because it took such a big step away from the outdated controls and presentation of older Resident Evil games. What Resident Evil 5 should have done was take an even bigger step, allowing players to actually feel like they're playing a new Resident Evil on a current generation platform. Instead, they took the safe approach of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And what we ended up with is a game that plays almost exactly like Resident Evil 4, which, let's not forget, came out 6 years earlier on the Nintendo GameCube. On top of that, a few months before Resident Evil 5 was released, we saw the release of Dead Space, which is a perfect example of how the survival horror genre can successfully exist on a current-gen system, retain everything we love about the genre, and not feel at all outdated. Even something as simple as walking and shooting at the same time is absent from Resident Evil 5, while Isaac Clarke had already been doing it with great success almost 6 months earlier. Your Honor, with that, I conclude my case. Let him try his best. I have a beard now.
Very well spoken, Mr. Internets. But can it hold up against the laser cloud? Scirocco!
You're up.
Thank you, Your Honor. While gaming can only grow as an art form through frequent innovation, that doesn't mean making a quality game without changing the entire world is inherently any worse a goal. I mean, how many times can we expect a developer to successfully reinvent the wheel? Resident Evil 5 shows that sometimes, even if it doesn't feel totally new, a game can still be excellent.
Resident Evil 5 actually does have a few tricks up its sleeve.
For a game that's so seemingly out of date, Resident Evil 5 is the first game in the series to offer a mission select mode, granting you the ability to easily jump around between levels for S rankings, unlockables, and of course, achievements and trophies. It leaves the post-game feeling a lot more arcadey and fun than previous games, which focus much more on challenges having to do with extreme difficulty levels and insane time limits. Here, you can just unlock unlimited ammo upon beating the game and upgrade your guns to the max. You can just pick up and play through a bite-sized portion of the game without having to make a larger time commitment required by most games these days. It's much more accessible to a wider range of gamers too, making it easier to come back again and again over a longer period of time. This is actually a huge portion of the game that's totally different from anything that came before and fully succeeds. Not so old and stuffy anymore, huh? Along the same lines, we've got to stop saying that Resident Evil 5 forces co-op into an otherwise excellent single-player experience. This simply is not the case. What it actually does is allow you to play alone through what had purposely been designed as a two-player experience from the very beginning. In a lot of negative reviews of this game, critics sort of quickly glaze over how great it is to play this game with a friend before spending most of the review picking apart the single-player experience, when what they should have been doing is the exact opposite. Every level, puzzle, and boss fight, while perfectly acceptable to tackle with a simple AI at your side, becomes an absolute joy when played with a friend. And it's not like this is some big secret either. Resident Evil 5 does everything in its power to tell you that it's a co-op based game. That's why Sheva's right there next to Chris on the front cover. That's why the tagline of this game is, "You don't have to face fear alone." And it actually answers the question as to why a second freaking character follows you around the entire game. It's just like Secret of Mana, where by yourself, it's an awesome game, but when you've got friends, it adds just another layer of awesome. It's not fair to almost totally judge a game made for two people around what it's like to play through the game alone. In fact, it's just crazy.
Alright, J-Rad. Now it's your chance to have the guy, when he comes up and talk with the... So he can help you with your case.
Thanks, Your Honor. My witness is Davis from the Warp Zone. That's right, I call him to the Blue Elephant stand. Davis, it's so great to see you, man. You know, I'm a huge fan of the warp thing you do.
Thanks, man. Anything for you, buddy.
Yeah, of course, man.
Hey, shouldn't I be up there?
Sit down, Tro! He called me and not you, so ha!
Dick.
Right. Well, Davis, now that I've got you here, let me ask you, wouldn't you say it's very important for a game to have the possibility to become more dynamic within its sequels?
Oh, absolutely, Gerard. I mean, franchises that just simply rehash the same gameplay with little or no improvement get stale very quickly. I mean, certain FPSs come to mind when we're talking about this. But I think that each iteration should try to bring at least one or two new things, you know? I mean, think about it. If we didn't have Resident Evil 5 pushing the RE envelope, we might never have gotten Resident Evil 6.
Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, no, 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 no,
let's not talk about RE6,
No. Not like this. Not like this.
Can we strike that from the record? Can we strike that? No. No further questions, Your Honor. Thank you. No further questions.
I have a question.
What?
Who framed Roger Rabbit?
Alright, alright. Mr. Internets, go in there and do your thing. Do your stuff. Do your thing. You do your stuff thing.
Davis! Oh, is that what you're gonna do? Is that what you're gonna do? You're just gonna betray me like that, huh? I set you up and you think you're good enough? You think you're good enough? You think you're a winner, man? It's me! Oh, it's the devil! Oh my God! Try this, bitch! Try! Oh yeah, oh, give me your cheer! Sissy little gamer girl.
It's better with good act.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Well, that was utterly frightening. Gerard, what's your final point?
The last thing we all have to realize is deceptively simple. Resident Evil 5 is not Resident Evil 4. Yes, it's in the same series, and yes, it's the sequel to Resident Evil 4, but neither of those things actually make it Resident Evil 4, so let's stop treating it as such. Resident Evil 4 was an absolutely revolutionary game, and without it breaking the new ground that it did, we probably wouldn't have great games like Dead Space, Gears of War, Uncharted, or even the Rocksteady Batman games. However, expecting that Resident Evil 5 would have the same enormous cultural impact as 4 did, and then calling it a failure when it doesn't is like saying that Empire Strikes Back is bad, because even though it still has everything that made the original Star Wars great, you really wish Han Solo kept the same colored pants. Resident Evil 5 is perfectly capable of standing on its own 2 legs as a legitimate game, so from now on, let's not use Resident Evil 4 as an example of why Resident Evil 5 is a bad game, because this game simply is not that. Resident Evil 5 is not Resident Evil 4.
Alright, we're nearly at the end of this. Mr. Internet, your final statement.
Your Honor, Resident Evil 5 was the sequel nobody wanted. It took away everything we wanted and replaced it with a bunch of nonsense that changed the entire trajectory of the series. Not only is it a bad game, but 6 is terrible as well. And it's all because of what happened here in 2009.
Hold it! Resident Evil 5 is a quality game, and all the evidence that we've been shown of its poor quality are actually just a result of unreasonably high expectations. When you look at it for what it is, you get a genuinely fun co-op survival horror experience. Also, the internet murders kittens. That's right, that's all you do. You murder kittens, and you just... What is with your haircut?
Oh, you want to go again?
Let's go! Let's Django to Tango, brosif! Let's do this!
I'm so ready. I'm gonna pretend you're a little kitten. Huh!
You want to do this, man?
Oh, let's dance! I'm ready
do
for
it, bro!
Let's get froggy, I'm ready.
Order in my courtroom. Who do you think won it this time? Was it this one with the, or was it this one with the, You tell us in the comments below. And, you know, let us know what game you want to see next and all that fun, cheery stuff. Now, to the important things we have to see. Who's gonna beat the crap out of who? Let's
I'm gonna take
bro!
my
Let's do
throwing
it!
output!
So, let's hit the dish on Jill's new dress.
Oh my god, it makes her ass look so
Oh my god.
big.
Oh my god, I saw that too. It looks so massive.
Oh, it's not her color.
I
It is
kinda
just
like it,
not.
Look, I give her points for the body confidence, but she is not pulling that off.
The leather is just so atrocious.
And the blonde? Really?
And
You're
those
going to
shoes
go
with
to
it?
the blonde? She just lost 20 IQ points right there.
Guys, what do you think about the dress that I'm wearing today? Do you
That's
like
a
this
dress?
outfit?
Oh my god!
It's